The celebration of the nation's independence and milestones recorded some days back is indeed a testament of how far Nigeria has come of age. While we'll recount past glories, struggles and present challenges, it is essential to also recognize the crucial role citizens can play in shaping the future of the nation. Nation building is not just about grand monuments or economic growth. It is about the collective efforts of individuals working towards a common goal. In recognizing the essence of shared responsibility, there is a clarion call for unity, resilience, and renewed commitment to nation building. Like this year's theme, All Hands on Deck, is a cross-examination of leveraging accountability, community participation, and exploring the essence of being governed. So beyond the glamour of symbolic celebrations to embracing the everyday work of nation building, what are those actions that form the building blocks of national development, which every citizen is expected to contribute? Tonight, from celebration to shared responsibility, citizens' role in nation building is the focus on Weekend File. And our guest is Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. He is a professor of mass communication, Bayes University, Abuja. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ruth Aguele. Before delving into the business for tonight, let's begin with the news. President Bola Tinubu says he is sticking to his long-term vision to unite Nigeria irrespective of the religious and cultural differences amongst citizens. The president stated this when he met with religious leaders in Plateau State, assuring them of his government's efforts to defeat terrorism and all the forms of insecurity in the country. State House correspondent Musbahu Wahab reports.
President Bola Tinubu on the Plateau, the third state he would visit in barely a week. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, led National Assembly members, while Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak of Kwara State came with his colleagues to receive the president on a dual-purpose visit to Jos. And on the streets, residents of Jos displayed their love welcoming the #1 citizen. But then, beneath this warm reception, the peace in parts of the home of peace and tourism has been under threat over the years. Religious and communal crises have lingered, claiming lives and properties in parts of Plateau and other north-central states. Apparently, this is a major concern for the president. At this strategic meeting with Christian leaders in Plateau State, President Tinubu said he remains focused on fighting all forms of insecurity in Nigeria, committed to converting tragedy to success and maintaining his vision to unite Nigeria. As a Muslim and husband of a pastor, President Tinubu believes nothing speaks volume better than this of his respect for freedom of religion. He also took the message to the congregation of the Church of Christ in Nations headquarters in Jos.
Hate is not an option for us. Love is what you preach, that we should love one another. Nobody determine what God has ordained. Our deed, our character, our love to our fellow beings is what is important.
Governor Caleb Mutfwang appreciated the president for his support for combating insecurity, calling for sustained effort to end the loss of lives and properties.
While the scale of attacks has abated in recent weeks, it is far from over. I am determined more than ever to provide the leadership that will unite our people and ensure that our diversities are better managed in order to reduce the tension along traditional fault lines. We'll continue to bank on your moral and administrative support to deal with this multidimensional monster called insecurity.
It's making a lot of concerted efforts to see to it that at the end of the day, people in the IDP camps can return to their homes. It's quite a pity that this has gone on for decades, unchecked. But with the determination and the support of the National Assembly and all stakeholders, I believe that peace must return to the plateau. Peace must return to North Central.
President Bola Tinubu is now back in Lagos. Musbao, then Wahab, NTA News.
Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Zulum has assured residents in Kirawa community in Gwoza local government area of government's commitment to protecting lives and property, while appealing for resilience and cooperation from the people. The governor gave the assurance during a sympathy visit to Kirawa following last Monday's attack that claimed at least 3 lives, with homes and shops set ablaze. Mohammed Goni reports.
Kirawa, a border community in Gwoza local government area adjoining the Republic of Cameroon, was initially displaced by Boko Haram insurgents in 2014 and later resettled in 2022 by the Zulum administration. Socio-economic activities, including farming, had gradually resumed until the recent attack, during which at least 3 persons were killed and over 50 houses and shops were destroyed, forcing many residents to flee.
We are pleading to the federal government, we are pleading to the Chief of Army Staff to release funds and then procure equipment so that the military operations have to begin in earnest since the rainy season is almost over. We need not to just embark on a military operation. After some few 1 month, then we withdraw. No. Then it's the need for us to sustain military operation throughout.
Governor Zulum condemned the attack and announced plans to deploy more soldiers to the area. He also revealed government's intention to establish a joint civilian task force in Kirawa to enhance security. He assured the community that government will rebuild the burned houses, shops and clinics, in addition to drilling boreholes, constructing a general hospital and rehabilitating the road leading to Kirawa. The district head of Kirawa, who appreciated the governor's visit, also appealed for the reconstruction of homes and the healthcare center destroyed by the terrorists. Some residents who spoke to NTA News recounted their ordeal and appealed to government to intensify security around the area. From Kirawa in Gwoza local government, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
In other news, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Abubakar Kyari has called on investors to seize opportunities within Nigeria's agribusiness sector and invest in the industry. The minister made these remarks during a tour of farm plantation in Bauchi State. Musa Baba Adiyu will tell us more.
This is the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Abubakar Kyari interacting with farmers in rural community in Bauchi State. He's inquiring about the 2025 farming season in the area and the prices of food in the rural community located a few kilometers from the state capital. Tasio Monkaila told the minister that they recorded a good harvest this year, especially in rice and sesame. The minister visited this farm belonging to the former Bauchi State Governor Adamu Ma'azu. The former governor is currently cultivating 2,670 hectares of maize and rice. The minister inspected more than 1,000 hectares of his farm. He commended the initiative and assured that the ministry will support both large and small-scale farmers under the Renewed Hope agenda.
You could see even beyond the hills are all cultivated. So this is really something that is targeted at the food security initiative of Mr. President. That clarion call.
The visit is part of the minister's initiative to encourage farmers and investors who have joined the Nigeria Agribusiness Project.
For this scale, you see, if we are to do it manually, it takes us another 3 months to harvest. And it's not easy with wildlife, fire, theft, and what have you, insecurity. It is better immediately they are ready, we get combined harvesters to come and do it.
The minister had earlier visited Nasarawa State this year. From Bauchi, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And we heard it's a new dawn for business operators at the Dutse ultra-modern market as Governor Umar Namadi's flags off the distribution of solar power supply. The initiative is driven by the state's Economic Empowerment and Youth Employment Agency. Mohammed Musa Askira reports.
The Dutse ultra-modern market, located in the heart of Jigawa's capital, is now aglow with solar-powered electricity thanks to Governor Umar Namadi's economic empowerment drive. The project covers over 300 shops, ensuring steady power supply for traders to grow their businesses without the burden of fuel cost and power outages.
I'm selling clothes in some markets. I'm a dealer. So, consider this solar something that they bring. I appreciate them.
So far, more than 14,000 Jigawa indigenes have already benefited from the state's empowerment schemes, receiving training, skills and seed capital to improve their livelihoods and contribute to the state's economy.
We gave loans to over 300 small-scale businesses in these states, amounting to about 600 million naira.
To further boost enterprises, Governor Namadi announced a 6 billion naira loan facility for small, medium and large-scale businesses in partnership with the Bank of Industry. The state government invested 4 billion naira, while the Bank of Industry added 2 billion naira funds now open to Jigawa entrepreneurs eager to expand their businesses. Congratulating the beneficiaries, the governor pledged additional infrastructure within the Dutse ultra-modern market, including new access roads and solar-powered street lights to strengthen business connectivity and security.
No government in Nigeria has done what we are doing for business. We brought the Bank of Industry to Jigawa State. By Allah's will, business people in Jigawa will benefit from soft loans to boost the economy.
With light in their shops, credit at their fingers, and promise of better infrastructure, traders in Jigawa are not only counting profits, they are also counting on brighter future. Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
President Tinubu's administration is committed to transforming Nigeria's health sector. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, stated this during the inauguration of landmark projects at the Federal Government Teaching Hospital, Gombe. Professor Pate commended the management, staff and leadership of the institution for their exceptional work, which he said aligns with the President's vision for a stronger and more inclusive health system.
The projects that we have commissioned today are all very strategic. A lot of things are happening, and the health sector in Nigeria is becoming a beacon of hope, not only within the borders of Nigeria, but also in the sub-region.
I thank God for giving us the quality leadership through Mr. President, especially in alignment with the renewed hope agenda.
They inaugurated a National Health Insurance and Retainership Complex, computerized tomography scan machine, critical care complex, isolation and molecular laboratory complex, electronic medical record system, internal road network, engineering complex, and the Institute of Health Sciences and Technology complex. Professional human resource managers in Nigeria should key into the various initiatives and reforms in the practice, maintaining competence and conforming to best standards. This is the charge of the President, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, Ahmed Laden Gobir, at the 66th induction ceremony for 88th new members of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Lagos, Ibadan Expressway, Ogun State. Yemi Dalamo reports.
Make personal decisions.
The President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, Ahmed Ladan Gobir, while admitting the new members, which comprises of 6 full members and 77 associate human resources practitioners from the faith-based organization, the Redeemed Christian Church of God, charged them to be stewards of transformation.
It is not enough to say I have become a member of the CIPM and you take the certificate or a lapel and then go to sleep. They need to open themselves up, to be able to learn. And in CIPM, we have a culture of learning.
The registrar of the council, Oluwatoyin Naiwo and Dr. Sebastian Okeke spoke on raising the bar of professional standards, human resource as a steward of transformation.
CIPM is deeply committed to ensuring that all our members have the capacity and the capability to function effectively in their roles. So for our new inductees, as an example, we have the HR Leadership Academy. It is another avenue for us to help in transforming the work environment in this particular RCCG.
By standard everywhere, and that stands you out. So I look forward to seeing a number of them live by those fundamental values, the standard, best practice, global best practice, inculcate it in their daily practice.
The inductees who were decorated and presented to the chairman of the council and chairman of the RCCG chapter of the association promised to bring innovation into the practice within the church.
Being chartered, being recognized, being certified means I can go ahead to do my job professionally.
I thank God for this great achievement.
That was one of the reasons why the redeemed Christian Church of God is where we are today, when we imbibe professionalism in every areas of our operations.
The Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria is the apex regulatory body empowered by law to regulate the practice of human resource management in Nigeria. In Abuja, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
So from celebration to shared responsibility, what is your role as a citizen towards nation building? Well, that will be the center of our discussion after the break. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. Nation building is an obligation for all citizens, the low, the high, and the mighty, with everyone having a role to play towards achieving a common goal in shaping the country's future. Kenneth Inanim, in this report, examines various factors influencing decisions by citizens to positively contribute in the Nigerian project.
As Nigeria celebrates her 65th independence anniversary, a clarion call goes out there for citizens in all walks of life to play a more active role in nation building. The theme for this year's celebration, All Hands on Deck, is very apt as it underscores the importance of collective effort in driving national development. Key players in the Nigerian project have emphasized the crucial role citizens play in shaping the nation's future, noting that nation building is not just the responsibility of government, it is a collective effort.
This administration has demonstrated uncommon commitment to a balanced and inclusive development.
While citizens are expected to participate in community development projects such as building of schools, hospitals, roads, and other basic infrastructural needs, others have volunteered their time and skills to mentor the younger ones.
In commitment, you have to submit yourself truthfully for Nigeria to be great.
Let us work on farming, because when one is well fed, the tensions, the anxiety will be reduced.
You should be able to dream of the hope you desire so that you can also add your own quota, because change begins with me.
The spirit of patriotism is what makes people commit to their nation, develop their nation, contribute to nation building. And that particular patriotism, that is, the nation has given to the people. Now the people are giving back to the nation what the nation has given to them.
People doing the right thing are not an act of charity. It is incumbent based on the social context of our communal existence. So if that social context does not exist, it's difficult to preach, to moralize, to compel people, to promote values.
As the nation celebrates its independence anniversary, it is a timely reminder of the power of collective effort and the importance of working together towards a common goal. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
All right, let's welcome our guest, Professor Abiodun Adeni. He is a professor of mass communication, Bayes University here in Abuja. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us on Weekend File.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, I'd like us to begin by getting the concept when we say citizens' role against misconceptions that when they hear citizens, it's just those in power are not involved. It's just, you know, citizens who are not holding public offices. Let's get this perception clear. Is there really a divide when we say citizens' role?
No, not at all. When we talk about citizens, we're talking about all the individuals that make up an entity, otherwise called a country, a nation, a state, or a nation state. And when I talk about state here, I'm talking about state with respect to a nation, or a nation state, or a country, as the case could be. So citizens is all-encompassing and includes leaders as well. But in the regular context, when we refer to citizens, we're probably talking about the rest of the people that make up the entity apart from the leaders. That's the regular basic understanding, but it goes beyond that to include even the leaders. But when we also talk about role, we're talking about the little thing, you know, that the average citizen, the average person, the average individual making up a country, you know, the kind of input they can make, you know, to the growth and progress of the entity called a nation, as the case could be.
Okay, so when we talk about this citizens' role, it requires a collective responsibility. And when you look at nation building, it comes with a price of devotion, sacrifice, passion for what we stand for. But beneath that lies challenges. How can we work collectively to surmount our challenges as a nation?
Yeah, one of the most important criteria, you know, for nation building, for the progress of a nation, is the need for citizens to be active. You know, so ordinarily you see individuals, you know, maybe you can say the average citizen, for instance, tries to be successful at the level of personal fulfillment. He wants success in marriage, success in profession, you know, then of course he wants to make all the basics of life. He wants to drive a very good car, own a home, you know, wear good clothes, you know, eat good food, and meet all these basics. And sometimes he even wants to have it in excess. He puts in, and he wants to be successful in marriage, if I've mentioned that before. You know, he puts in every effort to make sure that he gets to the top in this respect. But now, for a nation, for an individual to be regarded as patriotic and nationalistic, you know, those efforts that he invested into personal development can as well be extended, you know, to the community, to the general public, you know, to the society that he belongs to. Through commitment, you know, through subscribing to great values, great virtues, that makes him very responsible. So if each and every individual is found to be doing this, it will now coalesce, you know, conflate into a bigger whole, and you see a committed, dedicated group of citizens adding up, you know, to collective effort towards the growth and development of any system. And we can never see any system where this is not commonplace, and that system will end up being developed. For a system to be developed, you see this being commonplace. You see concerted nationalism, patriotism, team spirit, you know, and beyond the nation, even in every organization. We need that to happen before you can see collective growth on a bigger scale, beyond the effort that the individual invested towards the growth of, you know, personal, you know, progress, as the case could be.
And I'd like to, you know, put that in perspective, you know, to our current reality. They say reforms are the bridges to national transformation. And we have seen bold reforms taken by this present administration, which we're already seeing some yielding positive results. So how can citizens collectively, you know, support these reforms for the good of the nation so that the momentum can be sustained?
Okay, absolutely. You see, there are different ways. And of course, yes, government is convinced by what it is doing, and you have acknowledged it has been successful, and sections of the population have also acknowledged it, you know, as helping us to consolidate some of the things that we need to do, taking us from a state of decline to a state of stability and perhaps future growth. Now, how can the citizens key in? Citizens will begin to key in, you know, when they begin to feel the impact of the reform. And in the meantime, how can the citizens feel the impact? They are probably, you know, feeling the impact at the level of hope, But in terms of reality, but before reality comes, there are certain things that government can do. Yes, government is doing it, but we still need a lot more of this. Yeah. And that's why we say communication, cannot be adequate, in governance. Messaging cannot be sufficient. It has to happen on a continuous basis, and it has to happen in the right direction. If it is happening in the right direction to the right set of people, especially in this day and age where there's a plurality of communication, where people take things for granted, people want to communicate themselves, they want to own the means of communication, and they actually own it, and they are using it, they are actually owning it and using it the way they want. Citizens, have the message has to be controlled, so that citizens will not just become the dominant voice in the shaping of the narrative. They try to shape the narrative from their own perspective, but government needs to come in continuously anyway, even though they are doing so. But we need much more of it, so that narrative, will be convincing before reality comes, before the reality of the reform or the progress being made in the reform, actually comes, if at all it's not yet completely around, as the case could be.
Yes, and I want to believe you're talking about the NOA, whose responsibility it is to carry out this communication to every nook and cranny of the country. There's also the aspect of community engagement.
That's right.
At the grassroots, not leaving anyone behind.
Yeah.
How can they strategically not leave anyone behind?
Yeah, I think the NOA is not doing badly at present. And I've actually advocated for more funds for that organization so that they can do some more things. Because communication is actually very expensive. Yeah. And we're talking about a nation like Nigeria where that is replete with anonymous, heterogeneous, audiences, dispersed over a huge, swath of land, so you need messaging to happen in different languages through different channels, ceaselessly, so as to reach the mass of the citizens as much as possible. And then if it reaches them, they can key into the reform of the government, and government can harness their goodwill and do some more things, And yes, community engagement is very important, but of course we also need to realize that we're no longer in an age, where you just rely on one channel, one means. Channel has to be pluralized as well, just as citizens are using multiple channels. Government agencies will also have to live up to that expectation. Yes, some of them are doing it, but beyond the NOA, I think I need to quickly put in this. Communication from government side does not have to come from just one agency. Every government official, everyone responsible for anyone working for government should be part of the process of messaging, so that if you have an avalanche of messages, right messages that is, then of course citizens will be galvanized, and of course they will enjoy the goodwill. The government will also enjoy their goodwill, which every government in the world actually needs, to be propelled into the next level.
Indeed, and of not leaving out the media, which the NTA consistently continues to raise the bar. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. Now, beyond the commemoration of independence lies a fundamental principle, nation building, which is what we're talking about. An ongoing endeavor that requires collective accountability to effectively translate patriotic sentiments into tangible progress. It is essential that citizens' actions align with their shared values and national aspirations. Adejoke Odeka will tell us more.
Nation building is a tapestry of individual efforts, each thread contributing to a larger picture of growth and development. I took to the streets of Lagos to ask the question, what impact are you making?
Of course I am. I produce garri. You know what that means in Nigeria. Production of food has a lot of impact on the society.
I teach people and just teaching people to understand self-leadership, to make their own decisions.
Experts believe that by holding leaders accountable, promoting social cohesion, and driving economic growth through active participation in governance, citizens can ensure transparency and accountability ultimately fostering a strong foundation for nation building and sustainable development.
We must show more interest in publicly available information relating to governance. Beyond that, we should also now endure to participate as citizens. So when it comes to voting, vote, be part of it. When it comes to volunteering, issues that has to do with the community, be part of it.
Engaging in civic discussions that will highlight issues that requires attention. Also engaging in discussions that would keep our government and those in power accountable.
As Nigeria navigates her challenges and opportunities, every citizen has a role to play in shaping the nation's future. Through collective efforts and diverse contributions, we can build a stronger and prosperous Nigeria. In Lagos, Adejoke Odeka, NTA News.
Indeed, Adejoke. So, Professor Adeni, you saw that report. Beyond the respondents who say he makes Gary, that is what he does.
Yeah.
We're talking about shared values,
Yes.
practical steps, people can take if we're talking that shared values and civic responsibility, which was key in that report.
Yeah, excellent. Those are the basic things, what we call expectations of a responsible citizen. A responsible citizen is supposed to be productive, do a legitimate job, upon earning legitimate citizenship. You have to be, you don't have to do anything that will make the whole system dysfunctional, be obedient to the law, performing your civic responsibilities, including during elections, probably be your brother's keeper as well, if it is possible, participating in corporate social responsibility if you can, being diligent, do not circumvent processes and procedure, do not think that you want to outsmart the system, desist from living criminal life. And of course, trusting in the ability of the nation, to also support you is very, very important, which implicates the role of leadership, the role of government. But we are saying this because we expect that government leaders will do their own bit as well. But do not forget what we said earlier, that the entire concept of citizenship embraces the entire people living legitimately in a country. And of course, performing their civic responsibilities, So it's a collective bargain, and with that collective bargain being ideally done, being ideally processed, what we expect is a stable and sustainable and prosperous system. All these matrices will have to fit properly in the jigsaw before we can have development. And of course, it's work in progress. It's not, you can't achieve it just by a silver bullet. It's work in progress, requiring painstaking effort. All hands been on deck, like you said earlier, all hands been on deck. You're working at it every day, every week, every month, every year, from one generation to the other. And you see consistency in terms of progress. And this is how nations that will probably also respect today actually got to the heights that they arrived at. And that's why you see nations celebrating some heroes. And of course, in our own country, we also have our share of heroes. There's a reason why we celebrate some heroes, and there's a reason why we'll continue to celebrate those who have been exemplars, in contributing to the development of this country. That reason simply speaks to their ability, to behave in an order-centered way, in the way in which their behavior, their activities benefited the majority of people much more than themselves, as the case could be.
Yes, Prof. And they say charity begins at home. I like to look at the family, which is the smallest unit of society.
Yeah.
How can we begin to inculcate those values, those shared values we talk about, starting from our homes, especially if we look at the narrative today on dwindling values, which the National Orientation Agency is trying to revive with the National Values Charter.
Yeah, the family is an important unit. Most of the time, the first contact every human being often have, with authority is a family authority. And when we're talking about family authority, we're talking about the leaders of every family unit, the parents, that is. And this includes the mother or the father. And of course, what role do they play? They just play a role in molding the individual, until they begin to go to primary school or even to reception. Then, of course, they now start sharing that role of molding, with the teachers, and gradually the child begins to grow. The religious institutions now come in, the mosque, the church, the preachings of the pastors, of the imams, they begin to imbibe this thing. Then, of course, they grow to have their friends. Then they grow to higher, become independent. Now, the kind of worldview that they cultivate in this process also matter in determining the values, the virtues, and the cardinal objectives that they will subscribe to. What can we do so that these values can be salutary, helpful to the system? It simply means that those who are responsible for shaping those characters also have to subscribe to those values that we cherish, that are instrumental not just to the growth of their own self as individuals, but the growth of the society as a whole. And this is possible with consistency, with the right vision, and the appropriate leadership activity, working in the right direction and in tandem, in synergy, so that they can be collective growth as against individual progress.
Indeed, and in brotherhood, we'll continue to stand. Professor Abiodun Adeni, thank you so much for your insightful thoughts on Weekend File. We do appreciate.
My pleasure. All
right, so there's a lot for you to ponder. Well, we'll take a break. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. On the global scene, the United States President Donald Trump welcomes Hamas' response to a peace plan. And Egypt accuses Ethiopia of reckless management amidst fears of flooding. Chukunonso Nwabweze reports.
In a video address from Washington, President Donald Trump hailed Hamas's response to his peace proposal, saying global and regional actors were united in their desire to end the war. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end, Trump said, and thanked Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many other countries that helped with the plan. The U.S. leader described the development as very special and unprecedented, stressing that the breakthrough will be handled fairly for all sides. In another news, tensions between Egypt and Ethiopia have flared once again over the management of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, as Egypt accuses its upstream neighbor of reckless and irresponsible actions that have led to devastating floods in Sudan, raising fears for Egyptian communities along the Nile. The $5 billion dam, inaugurated on September 9, is Africa's largest hydroelectric project and can hold 74 billion cubic meters of water. Egypt alleges that Ethiopia opened the dam's gates without coordination, causing water surges that combined with heavy rainfall, resulting in overflooding of villages and farmlands in Sudan.
All right, and it's just the perfect timing for sports update. Ayo Deji is set for us. Ayo.
Yes, Ruth, thanks so much. Let's start on a rather unfamiliar note, but a sport that is gaining momentum in the country with a new leadership. Akin Ogumbiyi has been unanimously elected as the president of the Nigeria Rowing, Canoe and Sailing Federation, with Kayode Abdulaziz Olowu emerging as vice president following the federation's elective congress at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. Both officials were returned unopposed, each securing the thumbprints of all 13 delegates. Ogumbiyi, who takes over from Rear Admiral Festus Pobeni, pledged to maximize Nigeria's abundant waterways and nurture local talents. Nigeria has a growing profile in world canoe after consistent appearances at the Olympics since 2012 and other national, continental, and world levels championships.
We're going to take it from where Admiral Pobeni left it and ensure, by God's grace, that the growth and development of the sport in the next few years, this board is going to lead that and we're going to charge it.
I think infrastructure development will be key in this era. I think it's very important because without developing the infrastructure, we won't be able to know the talents that we have hidden.
Let's tell you that public service staff across the country are being encouraged to prioritize their health As the Federal Public Service Games, FIPSGA wraps up its 2025 series of monthly Keep Fit exercises. In a special edition which held in Abuja, FIPSGA and the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare renewed commitments to promote cancer awareness, stressing the importance of prevention, early detection, and the strong link between fitness and overall well-being. Beyond the physical activity, the exercise provided a platform to educate participants on the dangers of cancer, emphasizing that healthy living habits and regular medical checkups are crucial for effective treatment and long-term management.
Workforce is a productive workforce. If we have civil servants that are healthy, we would then all be productive and match to where we are all heading for.
We want civil servants to understand that they must take their health seriously, because if they are not healthy, there's loss of man hours. It means we cannot work properly.
MDAs are in final stages of their preparation for the Games now. You know, FIPSGA is one of the biggest sports festivals we have in the country now. And it's also a good thing that our population also keyed into the cancer screening. So you can see they're taking advantage of that to do their screening.
Now let's go to the world of football. After an impressive start to the season, defending champions Liverpool hit new low following a 2-1 loss to Chelsea on matchday 7 of the English Premier League. Estevao netted a 95th minute winner for the Blues, who condemned the Reds to their third consecutive defeat in all competitions. Elsewhere, Arsenal were emphatic in a 2-0 win over West Ham United to go top of the league in a match that was beamed live on the NTA. On Sunday, Crystal Palace are at Everton. Newcastle United welcome Nottingham Forest to the Sports Direct Arena, and at the GTEC Stadium, Brentford hosts Manchester City. And that's your sports. It's back to Ruth.
Many thanks, Ayo. Let's take the weather. We'll be back.
Welcome. By Sunday morning, residents in parts of Kaduna, Kebbi, some parts of Benue, Nasarawa, the Federal Capital Territory, some parts of Imo, Abia, Anambra, some parts of Bayelsa, Cross Rivers, River, and Akwa Ibom states should prepare for isolated thunderstorms. And as the day progresses, those chances of rains increases, with more widespread thunderstorms likely across much of the southern half of the country, stretching through to the north-central cities and also further north. Areas in Adamawa, Kaduna, and Taraba could also see some storms developing later in the day. So if you're planning an outdoor event, especially in those regions, it will be a wise idea to keep weather disruptions in mind. That's your weather. Stay safe, and thank you for watching.
All right, so I'm smiling because tomorrow the world celebrates a special set of people. I'm talking about teachers. It is World Teachers Day. It's a special day to recognize and appreciate the significant role that teachers play in shaping the lives of students and societies around the world. It is a day to also honor the dedication, hard work, and commitment of teachers who devote their time and energy to educating and inspiring the next generation. Interestingly, almost everyone, I want to believe, has that teacher to remember for a lifetime, either in primary school, secondary, or higher institution. Why don't you try and reach out to some of your teachers and appreciate them? For me, it used to be my history teacher. I will go back and collect my half mark. It meant a lot to me then. So we celebrate all the teachers around the world. And that's Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguwele. Good night.